We will be recording this webinar and placing it on our website at de.gov/edge by the end of the day. So if you missed something or you want to re-listen to an answer to a question, you'll be able to put it there. Throughout the webinar, you'll be able to put your questions in the question and answer feature, not the chat, please. And our speakers today will then be happy to answer them. So at this time, I'm going to turn the introductions over to Regina Mitchell, who is the Director of the Division of Small Business. Regina.
Thank you, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to see so many people on this webinar. We're excited today to be able to, really walk you through the tool, the SizeUp Delaware tool that's available on our website. We initially, purchased this tool for our small business community to use. We think it's really valuable, and the information in it will really help you, especially with your Edge application, but just generally in making business decisions and getting a better sense of the operations of your business. So I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Mario and Armando, who are experts. They have done a webinar for our staff here and really had a lot of great information, really opened our eyes to how you can use the tool and all the valuable pieces that are included. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. And thank you so much for taking the time to do this for us.
Thank you so much, Regina. Really appreciate it. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Mario Ubalde. I'm the Director of Customer Success for SizeUp, and I'm actually going to be acting as the air traffic controller for this particular presentation. And Armando is going to be doing the majority of the presentation. But it's an interactive tool, so this should be a very interactive webinar. If you have questions, I'm going to be hiding in the background, ready to answer your questions or let you know that you have such a great question that we're going to be saving it for discussion at the end. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand this over to Armando. Over to you.
Thanks, Mario. Thanks, Regina. Thanks, Andrea. And it's wonderful to be with all of you guys here this early afternoon. And I'm going to go ahead and show you SizeUp and then how it can help small businesses and entrepreneurs in your area. So before I get into the demonstration, I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint. Promise it's not going to be too PowerPoint heavy, just to give a little bit of context going in. All right, so if I could just get a quick thumbs up that you're seeing my PowerPoint. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So first off, the way to navigate here, we've created a shortened URL for you so you can go directly to it so that it's easy to remember, sizeup.info/Delaware. So as a company that's interested or really heavily invested in small businesses and entrepreneurs, we tend to look at the trends. Right here, you see the business starts in the US. And right here, you'll notice this was the start of the pandemic. We thought that this was going to be the trend, and it fantastically shot up in the opposite direction. And even when it came down, its lowest lows are still higher than any of the previous highs. Now, the US is a big country, so we look a little bit closer at the Northeast, and we still see the same trend. Now, we look even closer at Delaware, and in the state, it is still doing the same trend. Now, that is great for small business and entrepreneurs. However, we do still want to be wary of this right here. What you see here is the failure rate of businesses within the first 5 years. Now, we took a little bit closer look at the data at the 5 years, and we can see why businesses are failing. They're failing for different reasons. Some are dying a natural death, and that's when the market shifts. Red box DVDs, the rental DVDs, Blockbusters. And when everybody's moved on to streaming and they haven't adjusted, that's when a natural death happens. Now, on the other side of this pie, there's 62% of businesses that are failing due to a lack of preparation. And many times that is due to a lack of access to data. So that's where SizeUp becomes so powerful. We provide the objective lens of data to help prepare you for those particular cases. And we'll go through some scenarios to kind of get you familiarized with that. So what is SizeUp? SizeUp is an online business intelligence tool, and we made it simple and easy for you to use. Now, it utilizes the same data that big businesses use to optimize their decision making. And we made it simple to use. We speak the same language, so you don't have to know your NAICS or SIC code, so you don't have to know if you're a restaurant, you're 700, 491 or whatever it is. You just can start simply typing in restaurants, or even if you're an Italian restaurant, you can start typing in that. And then you'll be able to start searching in your particular industry. And we know that you are all hard at work at all hours of the day, so you need a tool that's available when you are. So we made this available 24/7 on the Delaware site. Additionally, everybody's at a different level of tech savviness. So we've created an option where you can do a report creator. So you can take this offline if you prefer having that physical piece of paper in your hand, and then being able to evaluate it that way. So a little bit about searching in the tool, alluded to this a little bit earlier. If you're in something like retail, you can search as broad as restaurants, or you can go even deeper as in Italian, or sometimes even deeper and more specific and search by pizza. Another example, same thing with transportation. We can look at as broad as automotive. We look at vehicle maintenance, or even specifically motor repair. And the tool does this at all different scales when the data is available. So we go as low as the neighborhood or the block level group when available, and then we provide it at the city, county, metro, state, and national level for comparison. So what we'll be going over today is 4 main modules, 4 powerful modules that each do their own specific analysis for you. So we've got the My Business module, where you'll be able to compare different benchmarks such as annual average revenue, salary information, things like that. The competition module, where you'll be able to analyze your ecosystem. Who are your competitors? Where are your potential customers? And discover potential new suppliers. The advertising module. If you don't tell people that you exist as a business and shout it off on the roof, sometimes you don't exist. So we know that we want to, but of course it takes money and resources. So we want to make sure that you have the best return on your investment. So we have the advertising module to help you with that. And then last but not least, we have the demographics module, a very powerful module where you're able to generate 3 different report types and search in a variety of different ways. We'll look at labor force information, consumer expenditures, and of course, demographics. And then one more time, before I jump into the demo, the link for you to directly go to and try the tool out right now is sizeup.info/Delaware. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and jump into my browser. All right, are you all, let's see, can I get a thumbs up real quick if you guys are seeing my browser?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Mario. All right, so right now you can go directly to the business.delaware.gov site, and then you can navigate to services, and you can continue to you can also go through the search, but as you can see, we are right here, SizeUp Delaware business analytics tool, so we can go directly there. Or again, we can do sizeup.info/Delaware. And then you can interact with this, with our tool directly in the browser. No need to download any software. You can just go to it and right away play with it. So again, we've made this simple to use. All you need to know is what industry you're in, and then what city that you're looking to do start your analysis in. One thing I do want to point out before we begin, is this is also in Spanish. It is not a Google Translate. It is translated in context. So everything that's meant to be understood, how it's meant to be understood in English is understood in Spanish. All right. But I'll go ahead and continue with this in English. So let's go ahead and start with beauty shops because I need a haircut. So that's on my mind. So we'll go general and then let's go to Middletown. So as you can see earlier, we can also search in different areas in Delaware. This is throughout the state of Delaware, but for now, we're going to go ahead and go to Middleton. Then you're brought to a screen with the 4 different modules that each do their own specific analysis. We're going to go ahead and start over here with the My Business module, where we'll be able to compare different benchmarks in our geography. So here you can see that there's several different benchmarks that we can look at. We're going to go ahead and start here with the average annual revenue. Regina or Andrea, would you mind coming off mute for a second? I have one quick question for you. If you guys could guess what you think the average annual revenue, not profit, the average annual revenue of a beauty shop in Middletown is.
Ooh, wonder if I should toss this one to Regina.
Yes.
I didn't know there was going to be a test. Let's say $500,000.
$500,000. Okay, perfect. So the reason, and I do apologize, I put you guys on the spot, but the reason for that is you guys are in the same boat as small businesses and entrepreneurs that are starting off. Some, you may, in this case, you may be pretty good with hair, and you do all your friends' hair, and they say, hey, you should open up a shop. But you're not necessarily sure what it takes to get started, what you'll be making, how many employees you need, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we're just kind of playing a guessing game, trial and error type of thing. So 500,000. And now, again, we talked about the lack of preparation as a reason for some small businesses failing. So here we illuminate you to that data that's been missing. So here we can see that the comparison, we can see it here at the city, county, metro, state, and national level. And then we can also see it over here on the heat map in zip code. So while we have the city, we can also get a little bit further breakdown by zip code where they're making slightly more, or over here slightly less. So if we had our sites on 500,000, we can see that generally in the city, it's making more than the county, metro, state, and nation as a whole. So we can expect to make more, but even then we might need to adjust our expectations. So, one other thing I do want to point out on the heat map over here, right now it starts off at the zip code level, but if we zoom out, we can also see this further in the zip code. We can see this at the county level. And then if we go even further and we want to compare to our neighbors, we can also see this at the state level in a heat map format. So moving on to the next benchmarks, we have year started. So this will give us the businesses that have opened up, the beauty shops that have opened up in a given year. And here we can go ahead and see the trends. Right now we have nation, state, metro, county, and city up. But if we take off the nation, we can go ahead and see this at the other scales. And this gives us a pretty good idea of what the trend is, how many businesses are opening up, and kind of gives us like a little bit of a health status on the industry. Typically, if it's going up, that's generally healthy. If it's going in the opposite direction, you might be in one of the industries such as the rental DVDs or Xerox or fax machines kind of thing. Now, moving on to salary. What is the average annual worker salary in a beauty salon? let's go ahead and do 25. And it looks like in this particular case, for the county, metro, and state, I would definitely be underpaying my employees. Now, granted, this is an aggregated average, so this takes into account, the general manager, the receptionist, the beauty salonist themselves. And then number of employees. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to start off being a small beauty salon shop. So I'm going to say 5. And it looks like I am just about there on par with the average at all the different scales. Now moving on to the next one, cost effectiveness. So right here, this benchmark is going to be based on the combination of our previous inputs. So we had about average amount of workers. We are paying them slightly less than average, and we are making twice as much as the average beauty salon. So our cost effectiveness in this case is going to be superior. Now, if let's say we open up and then we find out that our average annual revenue is slightly lower, we can come back to SizeUp and then we can re-enter our numbers, and then we can evaluate what our cost effectiveness is compared to the county, metro, state, and nation. All right, moving on to the next one, the next benchmark, revenue per capita. Seeing the quality of the dollars spent here. We've sliced the data in multiple different ways so you can get even more analysis. So here we see the breakdown of where the quality of those dollars are spent. And we can see this in heat map form over here, so by zip code, and then also by the different scales. Additionally, we have, instead of average revenue, we have total revenue by zip code. So we can kind of see where there's a cluster of these businesses, or where there's the higher revenue generating ones. Right. Moving on to local retention. So of course, we want to keep our employees as much as possible, but every industry is slightly different. So we provide this data and it looks like 90% of workers are typically retained. Now, keep in mind, this is full-time equivalent. So if we had 10 workers, but 6 of them were half-time, then of course we would have, what is that? 4 in total. So if we were to, let's say, lose out of our 5, let's say we were to lose 1 half-time employee, then that would be around the 90% mark. And me as a business owner could say, oh, I lost 1 person. I hope this doesn't become a trend. But then if we look at this, the objective lens of data, we can say that, oh, I'm actually on par with the industry standard. Now, inversely, if we were to start to lose 2 full-time equivalent, we might fall below this. And then we might look at this data and say, ooh, maybe I need to change something because I'm going just below the local retention rate for my particular industry. And we saw earlier, based on the numbers, that we are paying slightly less. So in this particular case, we might have to start paying a little bit more. All right, and then the last 2 benchmarks are healthcare cost and workers' comp, and these are typically opaque to small businesses in the past, and we can kind of see what they are here for the state. Now, after we've entered all of that, now what? Well, we have this summary view button here, and it will collapse all of these items, and then you'll be able to see a health dashboard of all of the inputs that you just entered. So you can see this on a quick and easy dashboard. Now, you can adjust these numbers and play with them to see where you fit if you are an existing business or if you're looking to start up. Now, you can also click this PDF button here, and what it'll do is it will generate a PDF report of all of the inputs that we just entered. So you can print that, take that offline. You can put it as part of your business plan, potentially turn it in as a part of an incentive program that's available in your area or however, or take it to the bank for a business loan to show that you understand the market. So everything that we just entered, you'll get along with the information up here, and then additionally with the heat maps and charts. And that was the My Business module, being able to compare your business to like industries in your area. Now, before I open it up for questions really quick, I do want to point out that whichever module is active, there is an I button here. If you click it, because I know this is a lot of information, it will bring down a 1 minute or less video that walks you through the particular module and how to use it. So if you ever get lost or forget what the purpose of this module is, you can have a quick refresher right here. All right, so let's go. Mario, are there any questions pertaining to this module?
We had quite a few, and they were great questions, which is really exciting. I just wanted to cover some of them. We've been chatting while you've been talking, but we want to cover some of them for the audience. So one of the big questions we've had is, can I use this tool outside the state of Delaware? And the answer is absolutely. So if you're servicing clients in Camden and Philadelphia, you can certainly include them within the trade area, your marketing area, for your business. The only thing that matters, though, is that your analysis has to start from within the state of Delaware, and then it can extend to wherever you want. As Armando just showed you, and we'll see this more in future modules, you can select whether you're doing the analysis on 2 miles or 200 miles. It just depends on what your trade area is for your unique industry. So look towards that in the competition tool that Armando is going to show you, and also the advertising tool. So that's an answer to one of the questions. The other question that we had, which is, how much does this cost? Regina, did you want to come off mute, or whoever would like to speak to this? Because people are always concerned about cost.
Sure. Thank you, Mario. So yeah, this is a tool that's available on our website for free for anybody to use. The division covers the cost of hosting the tool. So, but it is there for you guys to use. We purchased it so that it would be available for all of you. So it is free for you all to use.
Thank you so much for that, Regina. And to be very clear, this is the same data that big businesses use, the Amazons, the Walmarts use. The difference is they have back office business analysts who are getting paid 6 figures plus benefits to do this. And it's very specific to their use case. But what's happened is the state is empowering all of its businesses to be, from a data intelligence standpoint, competitive with these really big multinational companies. So you can be even in your fight for business with them from a data standpoint. And speaking of that, someone's asking, what should you put if you're a startup for annual revenue? And the answer is, you can put in whatever you want. It's just that the use case is different. So for an existing business, you have those numbers. For a startup, you might want to figure out what your projections are. If you're a coffee shop, you might want to figure out how many cups of coffee, how much you're going to charge, and how many customers you're likely to see to estimate your revenue. And it's a way for you to reality check your business plan or your startup costs. So you can go ahead and do that. The other question that you had is, what do we do if we are an online business and not brick or mortar? The same thing applies. You can use this tool however you want, but what you might be more interested in is the benchmarking that happens at the national level if your trade area. So imagine if you have an online business and you're not just selling to 4 states, but you're selling to the entire country. What you'll notice is that there's a benchmark for the city, the county, the metro, the state, and the national level. You may want to benchmark yourself against your national competitors who are also selling online, or for smaller businesses, eBay, Etsy, and other type of marketplaces like that. So your business is included in this tool. It's just the way that you would use this tool could be slightly different. And then the last question that I think we got was, what would I enter for X? X being a event planner or a couple of other industries. And the answer here is if you go up to right there, you could put in wedding because you might be a wedding planner, or maybe you specifically do parties. And so you can see there's wedding planner right there, wedding consultants planning and arranging. If you're a party planner, you might put it in there. So sometimes the industry that you're looking for has not always been included, but it could be part of a broader industry. So one of the things that Armando showed you is, let's say that you're not an Italian restaurant. Maybe you're the first Cambodian Italian fusion restaurant in Wilmington. And so you don't fit under necessarily a specific category. You could go to restaurants, right? Or you can go to ethnic food restaurants. You can go as broad or as deep as you want within your analysis. And because it's free, you can play around with different scenarios to see the one that matches your particular business plan, marketing area, sales technique, whatever it might be. So a lot of great questions there, including one about where does the data come from and how frequently is it updated? That is a great question. We're going to save that towards the end because it deserves a little bit more attention. So unless there are other questions that I can't get to, we'll save the rest for after the competition module. And thank you for pausing there, Armando, so we could get to some of these great questions. Over to you.
All right. So thank you for all those great questions. And if you guys have any more based on this one that come to you later on, feel free to put them in the Q&A chat. Mario will continue getting to them, or we'll save some of them towards the end. So right now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the competition module. And here is your ecosystem, if you will. There's 3 very important tabs here. You've got your competitors. You got to know who you're competing against. You've got your customers. Everybody needs customers to survive. And then, of course, suppliers. We have to get our supplies from somewhere to keep our business running. So I know Mario mentioned the restaurants a little bit here, and I'm 2 hours behind you guys. I'm located in El Paso right now. So I am actually getting hungry. So I'm going to swap over to restaurants. And since you guys are by the sea, I do love me some good seafood. I'm going to go ahead and change that to seafood restaurants. And we're going to go ahead and change the location a little bit just to mix this up. Let's go ahead and go to Wilmington. So we enter those, and then we start off in the competition tab right here. And right now you can see that it populates. It shows you the seafood restaurants or these businesses that have clarified themselves as seafood businesses. Now it starts off at the geographic center of whatever town or city that you put in. And then of course we can go into, just like Google, the different pages, the first page, the second page, the third page for the hits on these particular ones. But we're going to go ahead and stay with the first one. And here you can see who you're competing with. Is it mom pop shops? Is it big box stores? We can see we've got, the Popeyes, and then we've got some other smaller ones. Now, not only can you see who you're competing with, but you can find more information on some of these. So if we click on some of these, let's see, Japanese restaurant and sushi bar, we get an info card that pops up. And then if they have social media, if they have a website, you can go directly to them, or you can click on those and then you can explore their offerings and their pricing and things like that. So you know what it is exactly that you're up against. Let's see what else. We can also click on more of these, and then we can see some of these have also have social media, and we can continue to explore and compare. All right, and if you think you're competing against more than one industry, say seafood, if you also want to throw Cajun in there, then you can do that, and then it will start to populate with those along with this list over here. Now, apologies, my internet is a little bit slow, so it is thinking quite a bit. It's super crunching millions of numbers, but normally it runs much, much faster than this. So moving on to the next tab, looking for prospective customers. We can go ahead and go over here. And this starts off blank because who knows who your customers are going to be better than you do, the small business or entrepreneur. Let's say I am this seafood restaurant and I've done a pretty good job of advertising, and I've got my typical customer base, and maybe I want to expand, see if not only just the locals like it, but also maybe out of towners like it. So let's go ahead and look at something like tourists. And let's see what pops up. Oops, we can go ahead and look at tourist operators. And then it will start to populate with those businesses that have tourist operators. As you can see, it's super crunching millions of data points. And here we can do the same thing. We can click on one of these and get more information on them, to see these typical tourist spots and start to see if those will be our customers. So we can start to kind of draw in some of those tourists who are typically customers of these businesses. Now, additionally, now we know where some of our customers are, potential customers are. We can see where people are already spending their money. Now we can go through these categories here, or we can even start to search by typing something in. So let's say, I mean, we're obviously dealing with food. So now we've got different categories here, snack food, food at home, food away from home. Look at that. We've got food away from home and then food on out of town trips. So we can compare both of these. So right now, let's go ahead and click on food on out of town trips by zip code. And now we can see that we have this by zip code so we can compare. Now, if we want to go a little bit further, we can also see this by block group. We can see this by total and by average on what consumer expenditures are. So we can further our analysis here. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this so it doesn't clutter up the map too much. And then last but not least, we're going to go to our final tab in this module, the suppliers tab. We do have to get our supplies from somewhere. So again, this starts off blank, but we do need to get our supplies from somewhere. So of course we're seafood. So what makes the most sense? We start to type in seafood, and we definitely want to look at seafood wholesale. Maybe we'll look at markets, and you can continue to add on multiple industries. So if it's not just that, we can continue to add on. Let's see, we are also a restaurant, so we need to get restaurant equipment and supplies. So we start to type that in, and then we can see the map super crunching the numbers. And then we can, just like the previous tabs, we'll be able to get information on each one of these and be able to explore those. All right, so that was the competition module. We went through as a seafood restaurant, kind of looking to broaden our market. We went through all of the tabs, the competitors tab, who are we competing with? We're competing with some big box stores like Popeyes, but a lot of mom and pop shops or smaller areas. And there was a cluster of them. And then of course, some surrounding ones. And then of course, we went to our prospective customers, and we discovered there's quite a bit of tourist operator businesses. Now we could have added more on there if we were looking to broaden our customer base, but that was our focus in this particular case. And we found out the information on them, and also where the consumers were already spending their money with this button right here. And then last but not least, we went over potential suppliers. We have to get our supplies from somewhere. In our case, we were getting fish and seafood wholesale. We were getting restaurant supplies wholesale as well. Now, each use case is different, and we might start adding on different things based on those. But that was the competition module. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause and see if there are any questions. Mario, were there any questions?
Sure.
Module?
Quite a few. We're getting a lot of great ones here, and we're trying to go through them as quickly as possible. So one of the questions that we had was, if an area shows a lack of businesses, how do you know that's because there is no need versus that it hasn't been offered there yet? And so in this case, there's actually multiple things that you could do. So one, you can actually see if there's a cluster of businesses in that area. I'll use a very concrete example for me. I have two daughters who hate going to the dentist, but dentists tend to locate next to periodontists and what are the brace doctors called? I forget what they're called. But anyways, they all locate together. So sometimes they orthodontists. Sometimes they all cluster together. And so what you can do is you can take that information, and Armando is going to show you underserved areas in the advertising tool, but you can overlay that information with consumer expenditures, which is the heat map there. So within a given market, you could say, hey, show me where the Mexican restaurants are, and then show me consumer expenditures on dining. And then you'd see that perhaps the consumers in that area are actually spending a lot of money. They're just spending it, a couple of streets or a couple of blocks over, versus that they're in underserved area where there's a mismatch between the amount of money that is coming into those businesses and the people who are spending it. And you'll see that in the next module that Armando is going to show you in a second. But you can overlay that with the heat map and you can see that information right there. So the other question we had is, and I think I'm going to have to return this back to the team with the state of Delaware, is this data sufficient for grant applications? And we discussed this before we went live, but I know the answer, and now you will shortly.
Yes, this data should be sufficient for your EDGE grant application. I think that, it's up to you how you use it and the information that you provide, but I think everything that you would need for the questions that, we're asking in the application and the things we want you to address can be found using this tool here.
Great. And then someone also asked the question about, what do I do if I'm a startup in different industries? It's the same answer as previously, which is, in this case, it's not an actual benchmarking tool, it's a forecasting tool. So go ahead and project what you think you would do, and then you can realize whether you are under the marker or above average in your estimates to help you judge the accuracy of your business plan or marketing plan or service area. A lot of the questions were around seeing competition outside of Delaware. Here's an example. You can actually see the state boundary right there, and you can see that there are dots just north of it. Armando, can we click on one of those dots just so they can see one of the push pins? So there you go. You can see that you have that information. It's just that the analysis always has to start within the state. And so if you change industries, it will also then refocus on your original point of analysis, but you can always move beyond that, especially for supply chain analysis. And those are the questions that we had. So we'll turn it back over to you for the advertising tool. And hopefully I didn't steal your thunder mentioning that there's an underserved area marketing tool that you'll be showing them.
Oh, perfect. Great segue. All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump into the advertising tool. As I mentioned before in the presentation, businesses need to promote themselves. If you don't tell anybody that you exist, there are good chances that you don't. What's great about today, though, is that there are many different ways that you can promote yourself and market yourself. You've got of course, the traditional tried and true physical, where you do flyers, billboard, bus stops. But now we've got the digital era, where you can do things like Facebook, Instagram, and target by specific zip codes. In this tool, we don't tell you how to advertise, but we narrow down and show you based on your filters where the best places or the best zip codes to advertise based on your searches are. So just to mix this up a little bit, we're going to go ahead and advertise in the dentist industry. And then let's go ahead and switch this up. Maybe we'll go to work. There we go. And there are 6 different approaches that we have for you guys to start off your analysis. You can look at it by total annual revenue, revenue per capita, underserved markets, average revenue, total employees, and household income. So based on your use case, you would pick whatever approach makes the most sense for you. So let's go ahead and explore if I'm looking to advertise in the dentist industry and if I'm looking to find underserved markets. So we go ahead and search there, and then we'll find a list of zip codes with essentially the lowest amount of revenue generated by each resident, so per capita. And we can see it arranged in this particular fashion. And now maybe 11 results is too much, or maybe we want to, I don't know, do a little bit extra filtering. So we go over here, and then we can adjust our search distance. And then we can also change, we can look at demographic characteristics or industry performance characteristics. So if revenue per capita is big for us, since we are looking to find underserved markets, maybe we want to adjust the at most maybe under 500 per resident. And now we filtered down from 11 to 10. Maybe we want to filter down just a little bit more. So let's look at 100. And now we filtered it down to one particular location. And we can find more information about it. So here, all of the different approaches, we can still get all of that info card on there in the particular dentist industry. So we can see the total population, annual revenue, revenue per capita, average revenue, total employees, and household income. Now, if we wanted to kind of change that up a little bit, we can always clear these and then do a different approach. For example, let's say I was a hotel. I mean, somebody that needs to advertise even further out. You can search all the way nationwide. Now, we're not going to do that today because, as I said earlier, my internet's a little bit slow, and for it to do the calculations for national, it's going to take quite some time. But if you were a hotel or let's say a comic book shop that deals in memorabilia, you want to advertise nationwide, and you want to advertise to a specific demographic. You might also want to look at total average revenue or total annual revenue for that particular area. So there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different use cases for the advertising module. Let's go ahead and, so we're still in dentist. Let's say we are looking at maybe some higher end products advertising in a dentist office. So we'll go ahead and search there. We want to expand a little bit, and now we want to expand our search. And now let's look at demographic characteristics, because now instead of looking at the industry of dentists, we want to look at specifically the demographics of that particular zip code. So let's go ahead and put this up to at least 100,000. So we filtered down from, I think it was like 15 in this particular case when we expanded this to now 9. And now we want to make sure that they are spending at least that much. Now we've filtered down the results to 6. And then, of course, we have all of the information based on the approach total annual average revenue. And as you can see here, the closer they are to our filters, the more intense the color, or closer to red it is, and the less it matched our search, the lighter or more yellow it is. Right. So that was the advertising module, being able to optimize your targeting and advertising dollars so that you could get the best return on investment. Again, it shows you where, but not how to advertise. So that is left up to you, the small business or entrepreneur. All right. So let me pause there. We're at the end of this particular module and see if there are any questions.
Thanks, Armando. I don't think that there are any specific questions that we need to answer right now that we aren't already holding towards the end, like the question about data getting listed on the tool and things of that nature. There was one question, which was, can we show an example of an online national competitors? because they're trying to, I guess, look at the US. So as we mentioned, if you can actually go ahead and go to the filters and then just make it nationwide. So if you have a trade area that's nationwide, our advertising tool will support you. We'll go nationwide, and then again, we're going to crunch every single zip code in the entire USA. So it can take a while to do that, but you will get your answer. So eventually that will pop up and it'll show you the best place to advertise for dentists, around the USA. It's just during the super crunch, thousands and thousands of zip codes. So it can take a bit of time. And the same thing, there you go. It just popped up for dentists. The other thing is true if we go back to the benchmarking tool, just to kind of show that really quickly, Armando. Whenever you put in your industry, you're going to get benchmarks at every single level. So for dentists, you can actually see apparently the people of Newark, Delaware, do a much better job brushing and flossing than Newcastle, Philadelphia, the state, or even the United States. So you get benchmarks for all of the geographies from smallest to largest there. And if you were trying to look for dentists at the national level, you could go to the competition tool and zoom all the way out and then zoom into Long Beach, California, or Kennebunkport, Maine, Miami, Florida, or I'm trying to think of San Diego, California. So you can always use the map to zoom in and out to get different information, but the coverage is national in scope. It's just an issue of moving the map out. So there you go. Now you're getting the benchmarks for different states. So hopefully that answers the question about that. If not, we can revisit it as we go through other questions. But I think we've covered all the modules at this point, right, Armando?
We just need the demographics module.
Okay, so then we'll move on to that.
Right. So last but not least, we have the demographics module where you'll be able to get information about who lives and works in your area. There are 3 reports that we can run in a variety of different ways. So right here, we can look at our demographics, we can look at consumer expenditures or labor force. Right now, we can search in the traditional method. We can look at by a city, county, or metro. So let's go ahead and switch it up. Let's go ahead and go to Dover, and we'll go ahead and select the demographics. We'll create that. And then, as you can see, it shows the outline of Dover, and then it'll give you a plethora of information on demographics. So we've got the population, sex, age distribution, race distribution, households, etc., etc. Now, if we wanted to take a closer look at some of these, so we've already got the total right here. So as we can see, there's 4,543 30 to 39-year-olds within this given boundary, or 11.45%. Now, if we wanted to look a little bit closer, we absolutely can put that heat map there, and we can in fact do it by block group. So now we can see more in where there's more concentration of them by block group, and we can look at by total or by percentage, and we have the numbers, the total numbers here. So if we're targeting this group for a advertising campaign or looking to recruit them as workers, we can absolutely do that analysis here. Now, another way that you can look, because we know that sometimes the boundaries of a city, we might want to kind of do multiple ones. We can go ahead and create our own boundaries. So maybe we want to include this downtown linking area here, but then we also want to kind of include a little bit off map there or follow this particular highway. We can create our own customized boundary and then look at the consumer expenditures or labor force, but we'll go ahead and look at consumer expenditures, create that, and then we can see the total consumer expenditures that fall within the boundary that we just created. So we can look at things like apparel, education, entertainment, food and beverage, healthcare. And we saw a preview of this in the competition module, but now it's laid out in a different format. So, and just like before, we can go ahead and, whoops, a little too far there. We can see the total, the average and the total. And if we wanted to look even closer, we can look at things like personal care services and see what the average is and see what the total, and now we can see what the concentration is by block group area. So we can do in-depth analysis here. Now, the last but not least, and my favorite way to search is right here around an address. Oops, let's go ahead and take that off. So here we can enter an address and we can essentially put your business at the center of the world. Now let's see, let's do the Dover office, 99 Kings Highway. And then it centers on that area there. And we can look at miles by radius or as the crow flies, or if we click on here on minutes, we can look at drive time. So it'll create a customized polygon of how far you can get within a 10-minute drive of 99 Kings Highway. Go ahead and select labor force. We'll create that. And then this is how far you can get within a 10-minute drive of this address. And then this is all of the information that's within those boundaries. So we've got total establishments, total employees, establishment by size, by type. You get the idea. And then we can, just like the previous ones, in this case, we can look at total employees by occupation, and we can look even deeper at the total and the percentage here of where this particular workforce is located. And then we can see that here by block group. All right. I think we're doing pretty well on time. So that was the demographics module, being able to get information about who lives and works in your area. And you can search by 3 different report types in 3 different ways. We can look at labor force, consumer expenditures, and demographics. All right, so that was all 4 modules here. Now we'll go ahead and open it up, I guess, for questions, not just on the demographics module, but any general questions as well. I know, Mario, you mentioned that we were saving some of the questions for the end.
We in fact are. And so let me go ahead and see if we can get to some of these right now. So one of the questions are about the data. And let me go ahead. It may be faster if Armando, can you got it? Okay.
There you go.
So did you want to lead them through this, Armando?
No, go for it. Here, it looks like you're
all right. No, this is great. So there's hundreds of different data sets within SizeUp. And so it just depends on the industry and the type of data that you're interested in terms of where it's coming from and how frequently it's updated. I generally, when people start asking about data, they're interested in 3 buckets. So if we can go to the next slide. What you'll see is we have industry, which we call firmographic data, demographic data, and then geographic data. So the industry data, so that's all of the individual businesses plus all of the calculations related to that, are updated every 3 months. However, they're anywhere from 6 to 9 months in arrears of what's happening right on the street. So you do have delays with that data. If you notice anything that doesn't seem consistent, a business is closed, a new business is open, you can always send us an email at support@sizeup.com. We work with multiple national data vendors, but we never sell your data. We can provide it with them or to them, and then that might help you get listed sooner on Google Maps or Yelp or places like that. But that information is updated every 3 months. It depends on the industry. Lawyers have to pass the bar exam. Accountants have to get their CPA. So it's going to depend on the industry and the type of business in terms of how frequently that is updated. For publicly traded companies, for example, they have to issue their quarterly stock updates to the SEC. So all of that is different from a publicly traded company that one's privately owned. The demographic data, including the consumer expenditures, business and workforce, and consumer expenditures, is updated every 6 months. And that also comes from a variety of sources. I hate to say this, but I have a feeling that Visa and MasterCard might know more about how we spend our money than we do. And so that information is aggregated from multiple sources and then updated, usually in the late winter, early new year, and in midsummer. And then we use Google Maps as our base layer because people are familiar with that, and it allows you to see the data in context in the form of push pins and heat maps. Some of the data that you saw, for instance, on health insurance, salary, that comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics Office of Wages and Salary. That information is updated annually. So long story short, hundreds of different data sets, all updated at different times. And that's why it's really important we share this information with our clients, like the state of Delaware, and then make sure you subscribe to their newsletter so you can stay on top of when those updates are happening. So hopefully that answers the data question. And then if we can actually go back to the advertising tool, someone actually was asking about using it for business. So if we can go to, let's go to single family home construction in the advertising tool. So Armando showed you an example of what could happen for a B2C, business to consumer. You're a dentist and you're searching for that. So here we're going to reset the filters. So let's go not nationwide because no one's going to travel across the nation to build a house, I think. But let's go for 20 miles. And what you're seeing is you have filters here for demographic characteristics. Let's say that you're a carpenter and you're interested in, and you know what, let's go to Rehoboth Beach on the southern part of the state. So let's say there are these really nice beach houses that you want to work on as a carpenter. So you're looking for more boutique, single family, it's RE. Should be in there. H, there you go. So let's say that you're looking to work on custom homes, right? You may want to figure out where the single family home manufacturers are, but you don't want to work for like the Lennar, KV Homes, Cal Atlantic. They're really huge home builders. So instead of total annual revenue, we might look at the size of businesses. So you can see the drop down where it says total annual revenue, and then Armando's going to change that to total employees at the very top, Armando.
All right, apologies.
So now we're going to do the analysis on total employees, and we're going to get 18 zip codes, but maybe we're really focused on small builders. So we can drop down to the filters at the bottom, and Armando can show you that we can adjust that to say like 10 employees. It's the third one right down there, and you'll move the one from the right all the way to the left so that we're only looking at a maximum of 10 employees.
Maximum, okay, at most 10. All right.
Right. So now we know we have narrowed down our analysis to those two zip codes. That's where we want to look for single family home companies that are the right size and fit for my, 2-3 person carpentry crew. So you can use this tool for both B2C, business to consumer, and B2B or business to business sales, advertising, analysis, benchmarking, whatever it may be. All right. So we have quite a few questions that I'm trying to source through right now. We answered the question about data. In terms of getting your business listed in the tool, as we mentioned, right now you can just email us, support@sizeup.com, and we'll work with you. We are going to have a tool to help you get your business listed. If you're a startup and you want to get on the tool sooner than later, that's coming in the future. But we can't show it to you now because it's not top secret, but it's still being tested. And our engineers are working on it. I don't want to make them mad in the middle of the day while they're working on it. There are a couple of questions for the team at the state of Delaware, which is, can a consultant who wants to work with applicants, will they be helping them with the EDGE grants?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. Tying this back to the EDGE grants, is there a way a consultant who wants to work with applicants that don't have the time or writing ability to do it effectively can reach out to the participants? I think they're trying to say that they're a consultant and they're willing to help. Or maybe they're asking if there are consultants who can help with the EDGE grants. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know if I'm fully clear on the question. I don't know if that person is a consultant looking to reach out to potential EDGE applicants, but we don't typically share that information. They would have to find the clients on their own for people who are looking to complete an EDGE application.
for privacy's sake. And I think
Yes.
that's wonderful. I think maybe if I'm misinterpreting the question, maybe in a good way, if someone's looking for help with the Edge application, is there a specific web page or group or person they should reach out to?
Sure. Thank you, Mario. We have a team of regional small business managers in our office. We have one assigned to each county and then the city of Wilmington, and they're familiar with the tool. They've gone through the training themselves, and they are available for questions about it or anything else Edge related. And you can find their names on our homepage at business.de.gov. Andrea?
Business.delaware.gov. I will put that in the chat.
Delaware.gov. Or you could just go to de.gov/edge.
Edge,
That's our
yes.
Edge website. Thank you. We've changed our name a couple times.
Business.delaware.gov/edge.
Yeah. So yes. And then if you just go to the, business.delaware.gov, if you go to connect with a regional business manager in your county, if you click on that link there. So those are all of our regional business managers. You can see which regions they cover, and then you can contact them directly. Thank you so much.
Great. So we had a question about home-based businesses. The answer is home-based businesses are included in the tool. And if we go to the info card, boy, that's a tough one to do. I'm trying to think of categories that may have home-based businesses. We might try beauty salons or, massage where they, something like along those lines. If you go to the individual info card, and this gets back to the question later, we probably added in more industries here than we thought of. You can actually click on things, see if we can find one. There we go. So here's one where this person probably, travels to offer whatever they're, they're doing, whether it's makeup or hair or nails. And so you can see that it's home-based and it would be indicated as such. So if you're interested in targeting home-based business, maybe you're not a home-based business, but you're servicing home-based business, you can always go through this list to use it as a prospecting tool to identify people that you could reach out to that are in need of your services. So hopefully that answered that question. If not, I'm sure you'll ask again and we can narrow down the answer that you're looking for. There's a question about, are there any restrictions for the use of the data? They're not trying to scrape data, just wanted to understand. You're free to use the data however you want. We obviously have to abide by the rules of our various licensors and vendors. So you notice that we do provide all of the businesses, but we only provide them in chunks of 10. So you would need to use those businesses in chunks of 10. Of course, you can zoom in, zoom out, and select individual ones as you need. But we've engineered it to make it as easy to use as possible as well. So you can see that information there. Hopefully that answered the question. Sorry, so marketing consulting. So for the one word questions, I'm not quite sure exactly what the question is, but if you can expand on your question, happy to help you. I think a lot of people are looking for information about kind of what industry they fit in. And the answer is, new industries get added all the time. So as industries grow, like eyebrow threading, believe it or not, you can tell I'm not really up on that, but that may have its own NAICS or SIC code eventually. But right now you would look for like personal care services other for that particular one. That was asked of me. I had to do a little research on that one. But you get the idea is you can look for adjacent industries in the case of where your particular business may not be there. I live in Austin, Texas. So believe it or not, there are people who ride around on bikes with coffee urn backpacks who can, you could via an app, you can get coffee on the sidewalk. And let me tell you, bike-based coffee is not a category that we have, but you could look at coffee shops or diners or tea rooms or other industries. So don't be disappointed if you don't find what you want. You may want to look at adjacent categories to get an idea, because you might be a furniture, let's say that you make furniture. Maybe you're a boutique furniture maker. You might want to look at actual furniture manufacturing. You may want to look at furniture stores. You may want to look at different categories because you do all of those things. And the beauty is you can add or subtract as many industries as you want. If you go to that competition tab where it says industries, so we're at coffee shops right now, and you can see the individual businesses. But if you click on the industries tab underneath competitors, Armando, let's say that you are also competing against diners. You could put diners in there. You could add in tea rooms. And you'll just keep layering the information until you get to the type of analysis that you want. Hopefully that answers the question.
So I also want to be respectful of everybody's time, and there is a lot of questions, and I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but I do want to point out that we have quarterly webinars. If you do want to expand more training, so that website is there, sizeup.info/webinar. I believe it's October 18th is our next one. So if you do want to do some kind of continued education with SizeUp, that one won't be specific to Delaware, but it'll be general. You're absolutely welcome to register for that training, that webinar.
So we want to make sure there's so many great questions. And as Armando, I think we need to start wrapping up. But the key thing is Regina's already explained that you can get in touch with your local representative. And of course, if there are continuing questions, they can come to us, or you can visit our help site if you want to submit something directly. And we'll do our best to either answer it if it's technical or get the answers to the team at the state of Delaware to provide that information for you. If you go ahead and stop sharing, I think we can turn this over to Regina for any closing remarks.
Thank you both. I think this was super helpful. I hope that everybody learned, some more information about how they could use the tool, how it can help you in your Edge application, or how it can just help you, in your daily business operations. Like we shared, the information for our regional business managers can be found on our website. They're here to help you with your applications, any questions you might have. So if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to one of them. Andrea, anything to add?
Just that at the end of the day, we will have this webinar posted on de.gov/edge. I see Armando has put some of his contact information in there for both the support email box and his individual email box, which is great. Thanks so much. And with that, that will wrap up our webinar today. Thank you all for joining us so much, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
You as well. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Take care,
much.
everyone.